John Solomon, how are you, brother?
I'm great, Sid. Good to be with you.
Nice to have you, too. So, no one loves and adores Trump more than me, except for maybe you. Okay. But I've been critical. I say this all the time, John Solomon. Even Pat Riley lost the game. Even Vince Lombardi lost the game just because I love him, and he's the best at the job probably ever, and I want him there now and forever. Doesn't mean he's perfect, and this Iran deal is far from perfect for me, and his treatment of Bibi, I believe, in his attempt to show the world that he's still in charge, is also a bit rough for me. What are your thoughts?
Well, listen, I don't think we know everything about the deal yet, and so I think what we know is fragmentary, and my training as a journalist is to wait till we have all the facts, because what we have found time and again in the Trump administration is what we thought or what we were told happened when you got down into the dirt and you found out it wasn't what we were told. And so there could be a lot of things going on right now that we haven't considered. For instance, there's a delay in releasing the text. Is that because there's an operation to go get the uranium and show an early good sign of faith? We don't know, but that's always a possibility. It was something that was on the table during the discussions. Maybe that's why we haven't seen the full text yet. I think everyone's going to have to evaluate it. There is clearly a split inside the administration. I think people like CIA Director John Ratcliffe and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth don't like this deal. And there are people on the other side, like J.D. Vance, who does like the deal.
Well, but J.D. Vance likes the deal, John, because, let's face it, he never wanted this war in the first place.
Yeah, I think that he's been pretty clear that he's a guy that, after fighting in war, doesn't want any more long wars. This wasn't a long war. It was a short war. The initial objective has been a thing. We have kept Iran from being close to a nuclear weapon anytime new. Everything else was always unclear about the objective. The president's objectives were clear. We weren't doing regime change. We were making sure that Iran can't develop a nuclear weapon, can't attack us effectively with mid- and long-range missiles, and don't have the capability to develop significant military manufacturing. And so we've achieved those objectives. Now we have to create a scenario to see what is the deal, and then how do you enforce the deal? Because you can't trust Iran unless you can verify it. We'll have to see what those trust and verification modules are. I don't think the president is naive. I also don't think the president would have a problem, based on my reporting, going back and reattacking them 6-8 months from now if there's non-compliance. He means business. And so I think the key for me as a journalist is we don't know what we don't know yet, and we will get to know that by Friday. I think we're going to know more by Friday, and then we'll be able to evaluate the deal. But I'll be honest, there's a split in the administration. Not everybody likes this deal. And that probably tells us it's not the perfect deal for people who want the Iran situation to be dealt with forever. It might be the perfect deal for the next 8 months, and then give the president flexibility after the 2026 election to go back a second time. But we got to get the parameters. All these leaks, we really don't know what's in the deal until we get the deal. And it looks like we will get it tomorrow, and it will be signed on Friday. So I think we'll know more on Friday.
Fair enough.
By the time I hit my 50s, I'd learned a few things, like how family is precious. Work can always wait. And 99% of people over 50 already have the virus that causes shingles. Not everyone at risk will develop it, but I did. The painful, blistering rash disrupted my life for weeks. Don't learn about your shingles risk the hard way. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today. Sponsored by GSK.
Talking about knowing more, this plot at UFC 250 on Sunday. It is amazing. They've arrested 5 people now. I believe all 5 people are in different states. They had guns, they had drones, they had bombs. They wanted to drop explosives from the drones and then start shooting with snipers at people running in panic. And they had a very serious plan. It didn't go off. And I think Cash Patel is coming under fire for, once again, they think he leaked too much about the investigation. But anyway, more importantly, what do you think about this whole thing?
Well, first off, just think about that mom who turned in her own son because she didn't want to see the mayhem and the death and destruction that could have occurred from her son's alleged terror plot. She's a hero. We don't often talk about people like that, but it's got to be a painful decision to turn in your son to make sure you save lives. That's the first part, because that's the trigger. We had no idea it was happening until this mom came forward. When you look at it, there are 3 components about this that I think are very important for the future of fighting terrorism in America. The first is drones are going to be the preferred weaponry of terrorists going forward, just like they're the preferred weaponry of Ukraine and Russia now and Iran. 2, they're cheap and inexpensive. 3, they're deadly. And 8 months ago, for the first time, even though it was obvious for a decade that drones were going to be a threat to American public, we created the first ever national counterterrorism strategy for countering drones. And I think that that's a good thing. So even if this plot began to unfold, we had capabilities at the White House that would have stopped some of this attack. The third part is these kids are very interesting. They're young. They have early Christian upbringing. They have early, some libertarian leanings based on the early things we've learned about them, and yet they're radicalized to become leftists. They have the anti-Semitism in their background, and what we're seeing now is an effort to recruit people on both sides, conservative or libertarian, and others who can be quickly weaponized through social media, through influencers, and I think that this is a threat. We have an entire generation of young people who are drawn to the anti-Semitic arguments, to the anti-American arguments, and this is a threat that we're going to face for a decade because of what our education system did to precondition our young people to think this way or be receptive to these arguments. We got to nip anti-Semitism in the bud, nip anti-Americanism in the bud, nip these influencers who sell snake oil when they don't have it, and get a generation reclaimed from America, because these kids were easily weaponized. And I think that's the scariest part of this plot of all.
I think you're right, John. As always, amazing information. I keep saying it to you. I think you're incredible. I really do. So thank you for hopping on for a couple of minutes today, and I'll talk to you when I get back from Israel, buddy. Thank you so much.
All right. Love your show, Sid. Thanks so much.
Love you too, John. It's John Solomon right there. He really is terrific.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?